Doncaster Fear Factory, located at Thornhurst Manor in Oaston, Doncaster, which is a 20-minute drive from Doncaster train station, has created screams and infested the grounds of the manor through the medium of scream effects and scares for everyone who has attended or is set to attend. They operated in 2016 before a few-year hiatus and are returning in 2021. Since 2021, it's been consecutive events through to the present day, and every year they've improved and increased the scare factor throughout these years. For the event's 5th anniversary, they're set to ramp up the screams yet again, and today we're going to analyse what's set to come to this year's event so far, and also tease a brand new bit of scare for this year. So before we get started, make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so you never miss a YouTube video, and for now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am the CHALL, and today, Chall Chats Doncaster Fear Factory. So far, we know that Yana Gate Facility 26, themed around a poison gas infecting people and featuring numerous extreme elements such as a constant touching sensation and a chainsaw finale, will not return, and I'm personally quite sad about that. It was personally the second best scare maze I'd ever done in my career in theme park journalism, and it really disorientated me with a combination of wonderful effects and terrifying scares and touches throughout the experience. However, we have been blessed because we've got some returning scares, some new scares, and some changed scares. So without further ado, let's tell you about the 2024 Doncaster Fear Factory lineup. Firstly, we have a spectacular scare zone called Crimson Harvest. In the stillness of autumn's embrace of rustling fields and crimson skies, the fields come alive with a haunting presence, a single sentry stuffed full of straw standing guard. It looks like this scare zone will follow the theme of living scarecrows wandering around. However, there are two types of scare zones the event could feature. One route is a free-roaming scare zone in one set of open path. Examples of this can be displayed by Alton Towers Resort Scarefest, and how they showcase Freak Show and Zombie Scare Zone, and currently the Burial Ground Scare Zone experience from the previous year. Another route to go down is similar to the Crows at Thorpe Park Resort, were utilised, and that is near the entrance of the event and across the area as part of your overall experience. Either route would be ideal for the event because a scare zone adds something different to the event to add to the atmosphere of the night. So that is your scare zone. Now, I love a good scare zone. I think a scare zone adds something really special to a Halloween event. I think it adds a new level of thrills. And like I said there, I think there's two different routes of scare zone the event could go down. They could go down the Crows route, which is characters roaming about a main entrance path or around a certain area of the event. They could go down that route with it. Or they could go down the Zombie Scare Zone or Freak Show or Burial Grounds route, where they have a certain set of path, they shut it off from the public and have an alternative route for those who don't want to experience the scare zone. However, for those that do, the set of path excluded from the public is set with theming, fences, and an overall storyline as you're walking through, and it's non-stop scares in an open plain pathway. So there's two different routes to go down here. And here on Chall Chats, we'll be very, very excited because, dun dun dun, we're going to be at the press night. So, we're going to be experiencing this event before the public. I'm very, very grateful for that. And a massive shout out to everybody at Doncaster Fear Factory for inviting Chall Chats to the event. And I cannot wait. I can just see it at the top of my head, the old press pass from the previous year. I'm so grateful and so delighted to be attending this year's event again. The second event consecutively in a row for me for Fear Factory, and I'm really blessed to be in that position to attend the press night. I'm really grateful to the event for inviting me, and I'm grateful to you guys watching these videos, because if it wasn't for you guys watching and your support in sharing the content, liking the content, getting involved in the conversations with the content, I wouldn't be in the position I am now. So a big massive thank you to you guys. Now, we've talked about the scare zone. Let's talk about the scare mazes. Before we get into them, make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so you never miss a YouTube video. Bit of a reminder there. And for now, let's get into this year's scare mazes. First up for the scare mazes, we'll be telling you the story of the Chasm, an underground and deeply claustrophobic experience for those brave enough to take on. A team of miners was sent underground to work. The chasm began collapsing. all escaped to safety, except one. Dominion soldiers were ordered to go down and find them, but unfortunately did not return. We fear that they are buried and trapped under the fallen rubble and debris. That or something more sinister has happened, or taken over and taken hold, and now has power over the chasm and the people that take the risk of entering. Your mission is to explore the deepest, darkest depths of the chasm mines, to locate our colleagues, bring them to safety alive and well. Before the chasm collapses on itself, expect darkness, falling debris, altered sensory perception, flashing lights, confined spaces, sharp turns, scenes of gore and horror. Who knows what may await for you in the darkness. The chasm is not for the faint-hearted, so please take care before undertaking your mission. So that is the chasm Containment breached. Is that a sign of a potential extended storyline for this particular maze? I guess we'll find out. Returning from last year, as it was, there'll be some alterations inside maybe to enhance the scariness a lot more, but the new maze for 2023 last year, Diabolus, the Keeper of Secrets. The new culture experiment returning for 2024, ready to terrify everyone in one of the most extreme experiences I've personally ever gone through. There's a new priest in town, Thomas Parker, and his daughter Martha arrived in Salem in 1962. It wasn't long before whispers of witchcraft flooded the village walls. Thomas quickly starts investigations into the use of black magic, seeking out anyone who dares practice such things. This soon becomes a violent obsession. He is quickly losing his mind. During the cold, dark nights, he begins dragging innocent women from their homes and families. The only way to rid the village of this evil is to execute them all. It keeps them captive in this church. You can hear the screams of the accused coming from the church walls. Martha is also missing. Villagers heard rumours she may bear the mark of the devil. Surely not. Thomas is a man of God. He could never father such unholy, wicked child. The search for Martha begins. Clues of her whereabouts are not yet known. Are you brave enough to enter the torturous church that holds the accused, the innocent, and quite possibly the malevolent women of Salem? Find the amulet, give it to Elsa, and she will help lead the way. So the Diabolus Keeper of Secrets scare maze is a very unique, terrifying experience, and I had some big, extreme thrills in this particular scare maze, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do this year with Diabolus Keeper of Secrets, and I'm sure you lot are just as excited as I am. Next up, the Legend of Crackle Hill returns this year as the story takes another twist, a brand new storyline coming up with Crackle Hill, The Summoning. Paranormal investigator Jamie Castle has finally made it into the #1 haunted site in the UK, Crackle Hill. He needs an elite team of specialists to hold a seance in this horrific house in the hopes of summoning none other than Agatha Stone. Are you brave enough to join the hunt? In the early 1900s, Crackle Hill was home to Agatha Stone, who was known to locals to be involved in devil worship, and as leader of the occult, Agatha, driven mad by exile, swore an oath of power of making the ultimate sacrifice and savagely killing her own children. The silence on the hill became eerie, and it was several weeks later when the locals discovered the bodies of her children buried in the floors below. But Agatha was never to be seen again. Some say on a quiet night you can still hear the screams of the children taken so violently pass on the breeze. Since that moment, not a soul has entered Crackle Hill, for fear that Agatha's possessed spirits still haunt the halls waiting for her next sacrifice. Could you be the next unwilling victim? One of the event's returning mazes is the Pogo Club, a hardcore raving carnival of fears designed to terrify those who enter. And I really enjoyed this. We had some wonderful moments in this maze. Trust me, if you've watched the event review from last year, you'll know there's one particular moment that I loved even more. I want me! We are excited to announce that the Pogo Club is back and more deadlier than ever. Under new management, the club has undergone some refurbishment changes, adding some surprises into the Hard House room, and we can't wait for you to experience the surprises hidden behind those doors. Join us for an unforgettable season of fun, mystery, and excitement. But remember, whatever you do, don't go into the toilets. Please. So before we get into the final maze, the new maze for this year, yes, there is a new maze. Let's talk about the mazes that are coming back, either in a new way or as they were on paper. There is a spoiler warning for this point onwards until we talk about the new maze and what could be inside. So from this point on, spoiler warning! Spoiler warning! Now let's get into discussing the mazes that are returning. First of all, let's talk about Crackle Hill. Now, I loved The Legend of Crackle Hill last year. It was a great walkthrough maze, great wooden walls. There was a lovely piece of scenery. There was some wonderful acting. There was some spirits haunting the maze. Actually, fun fact, and I've not told anyone this yet, and I've not said this publicly yet, but my cousin was actually one of the actors inside Legend of Crackle Hill. She did a great job, by the way. Shout out to my cousin. There was some wonderful tight corridors to go through. You would kind of wheedle your way in, almost like you were going through a Wicker Man queue line, almost. It was kind of like, you know, really tight corridors, wooden fences, you know, things hanging on the wall. You go into different rooms in the house, and you were discovering the legend of the Crackle Hill house. This sounds like it's an alternate storyline. This sounds like the predecessor, like the successor to Legend of Crackle Hill, and this is very much going to be a, you know, seance, paranormal investigation, almost like the haunting at Drayton Manor, which is a Vekoma madhouse, Dart Ride. And it's that kind of like paranormal investigation into a haunted house, and things start happening. Will we see similar scenes or effects from The Legend of Crackle Hill? I reckon we might. There's an opportunity for that. And I think there's a really good opportunity to bring the most out of the Crackle Hill storyline from before and just add something new into it. And I think that Crackle Hill, the summoning, I think is going to be a very interesting project to keep an eye on. I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with the new storyline here. So next up, the Pogo Club is returning for this year. And again, I loved it. You saw that clip earlier, I want men. Well, that was what she said. And the Pogo Club is an extreme, hardcore rave of death. And this carnival of screams has taken over the nightclub. And yes, there was an incident in the last year where I actually dropped my phone as they slammed the toilet door on us. Well, I was in a group of like 3 overall. There was a couple with me, and they shut the door quite hard, and it actually made me drop my phone. It was quite something. And for me, I feel like, again, this whole, you know, this whole maze was just a collision of chaos. And again, there was some wonderful lighting going on. I felt especially the last bit outside was very well done. There was some coloured barrels. You were walking past actors, and there was some wonderful bright colour, you know, near the end, and it would lead you out into this wonderful bit towards the end of the exit path. For me, there was some wonderful stuff going on. And for me, I do generally feel like the Pogo Club will be a wonderful scream for this year's event. And for me, I think the Pogo Club definitely offers a lot. I feel like the Pogo Club offers a lot, and you know, for me, I think the Pogo Club is a real terrifying experience. And it was one of my favourites. It was one of my favourites of the event, and I loved it. I really, really loved it. Next up, the Chasm Containment Breached, and I was a particular fan of this one. I'll be honest with you, I loved the Chasm Containment Breached. I feel, it was originally the Chasm, my apologies. So, for me, I feel like the Chasm was a very interesting one. I feel like the Chasm had this kind of presence about it. It gave you claustrophobia, it gave you the effects, it gave you the feeling of being underground in the mine, and they did some wonderful stuff with the Chasm. I feel like the Chasm was a very underrated maze for me, and I feel like there was some great stuff that they did right, and there's stuff they can continue to improve on. But for me, I felt like the scariness overall was just top notch. I feel like the Chasm was a very unique underground experience, and they did a wonderful job in really enhancing you and bringing you into the story of the Chasm. And I'm sure they'll do another good job with this year's event. 100% definitely. The Chasm had some unique theming, and they had some wonderful effects. The scare acting was top notch throughout the entire event, and this maze was no different. The scare acting was on another level, and I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with this year's Chasm version. I'm interested to see what's changed and what's altered about the Chasm this year. Finally, Diabolus, the Keeper of Secrets. Now, the Diabolus Keeper of Secrets is one of my favourite mazes of all time. Probably my favourite maze. I gave it a 10 out of 10 last year. It was incredible. This delivered some exceptional scares throughout and gave the maze a different type of scare maze. Of course, you were completely covered in darkness. Obviously, this is still the spoiler warning section of the video, so I can still talk about this. But basically with Diabolus, if you're still here watching, you have a bag on your head for the majority of that maze, and you're led by a guide rope. So it's almost like the passing at Thorpe Park Fright Nights, if you remember that one back in the day. That was very much blindfolded, follow a guide rope, and you're touched. You are spun in different directions, you are led in different directions, you get whispered in your ear if you're going the wrong way. I really loved the disorientation and the mystery around Diabolus and that blindfold section for the majority of that experience. Are they going to go with that again? I believe they will, personally, and I think they'll extend on that with the addition of some altered theming, some altered effects, maybe to scare you while you're blindfolded, and then you've got the finale scene, which just is going to be amazing. Anyone who hasn't experienced it yet, that's the one bit, even during a spoiler warning, I will never ever spoil the finale, because trust me, it is worth experiencing for yourself. But for me, Diabolus Keeper of Secrets is a wonderful experience, and I really cannot wait to experience this for myself. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with this, and I feel like there's some secrets in there that we're yet to experience. I think that'll be all unmasked, ready for the maze this year. Now then, what about the new maze? For the new maze, there's been some teasings, there's been some rumblings. However, we've finally got something that could link towards what could be the new maze this year. So, let's talk about what's set to come and debut at Doncaster Fear Factory this year in 2024. So what about the new maze? We received a teaser picture this week from the event's official social media showing a glimpse into the exterior of the new maze, which looks like a potential boiler house or a slaughterhouse chamber, which could include themes such as cannibalism, human pain, and bloody torture into the storyline. So of course, Yarna Gate Facility 26 is set to be removed from the event after a few years in operation, and now we're going to see this new maze debut. If I was to make an official prediction at this stage, I believe this will be a traditional free-flowing scare maze themed around a slaughterhouse, and victims of their bloody experiments are projects rising from beyond to curse and dismember all who enter that slaughterhouse. This could offer a similar theme to the flash part at York Maze Hallows Scream, which was a good maze last year in my opinion. In my opinion, they should have brought back the main pre-show at the pie shop back to set the story out better, rather than pass through quicker, but we're here to talk about Fear Factory, Hallows Screams for another video. But for me, I think Fear Factory will offer their own spin on the flesh part kind of theme, and I feel strongly that Fear Factory will succeed in offering a decent new scare maze to help celebrate the event's 5th anniversary. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That is everything set to experience for Doncaster Fear Factory during their 5 Years of Fear event, their 5th anniversary in 2024. Now then, overall, what do we think? How do we summarise this? Well, we summarise it like this. A returning scare zone, Crimson Harvest. The Chasm as Containment breached. The Crackle Hill storyline coming back as The Summoning. The Pogo Club returns. Diabolus returns. And then you've got the brand new maze, which looks like some kind of boiler house or slaughter chamber. I cannot wait for this. I really cannot wait for this year's event. It's going to be wonderful. Make sure you all stay tuned to the channel, because we've got some content coming from Doncaster Fear Factory, York Maze Hallows Scream. There's a brand new event that we're going to be trying out. It's all coming up on the channel this year. Make sure you stay tuned for all of that. Also, fingers crossed, we'll be heading to Skegness this year in October for Fear Island at Fantasy Island. So we've got at least 4 scare events coming up on the channel this year, which I'm really excited to check out. But for now, guys, thank you very, very much for watching this video. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe. And for now, I am the CHALL. Ta-ra for now. And that is the end of this ride experience. Ta-ra for now.